Oh. Excuse me.
Just survive.
You know, you look like your head fell on the cheese dip back in 1957.
I thought They Live was ahead of its time, actually. I thought it was really cool. I thought the sci-fi aspect with tying in reality and subliminal messages and people being influenced was pretty timely, actually.
You're okay. This one, real fucking ugly.
I think They Live is just as relevant today as it was back then. Maybe more today. Now we're getting it for real rather than a movie.
I've got one that can see.
John presented this gap between the economically depressed homeless people and this elitist, ultra yuppie alien collusion. There's a part of me that believes that's actually what's going on.
I don't like this one bit. Not one bit.
As a camera operator, I worked on Big Trouble in Little China and Halloween. It was a nice relationship with John. I mean, I really liked working with him and got a call to meet him down on Sunset Boulevard, and that's when he offered me to, shoot a picture for him. So I couldn't believe it. I was just ecstatic, That doesn't come along every day. You can work hard and hard and hard, but it takes somebody to give you that break. Now, working with Anamorphic to me is a world of its own. I like the scope that it has. It generally makes a movie look a lot bigger than it really is in terms of the size, particularly in a theater. All your major epic pictures were shot, in CinemaScope or Anamorphic to give it that large, bigger than big look. And also I like the composition. You can really come up with some beautiful composition. Landscapes, interiors, and it gives you a bigger view of everything, Now, we had an interesting thing happen with Meg Foster, which caused me to go into a frenzy. She turned up in dailies looking green, and come to find out during lunch, the makeup department, for whatever reason, I can't remember why, they changed her makeup, which changed the whole tone of the color of her skin. But I think we tried to time it out in the lab to make it look as good as we could. I don't think we had the time to go back and reshoot it.
Either put on these glasses or start eating that trash can.
Not this year.
Okay. All right.
Well, the fight scene was something else. Never had an idea it was going to last as long as it did.
The big fight in the alley, those guys were fantastic. John called me up one day and said, hey, the script has some big fights in it. The vibe I want is, the old John Wayne fights. So you know what to do. He goes, I want you, now you know what I want. He goes, all I ask is there's 3 specific wrestling moves I want to see in there. Okay, well, these guys can't fight for 6 or 7 minutes and just fight. There has to be something in there. There has to be some motivation, some dialogue, some different things in there. So
Put on the glasses.
Roddy's trying to have him put the glasses on. The other guy's saying, no, I don't want to. So at least there's something going on between the two guys. And it's just a lot of fun just to create a huge fight like that. Roddy was concerned about his wrestling moves hurting somebody. And right in John's house, he ended up clotheslining me, and I just took a big hit and fell. But he stopped, and it made it look like I got really clotheslined by him. Keith David, on the other side of it, had some boxing background, but I had to bring him up a little bit because, as a boxer, he's really tight and sort of more subtle and just fast. And so I had to bring him and make him a little bit broader with his moves. So between the two of them, I had to bring one down and the other one bring him up. And then we met halfway in the middle. But they both worked well together. They had a lot of respect for each other.
And then pull him up. All right, great.
John's really really safety conscious. He wants nobody getting hurt. He wants everybody to be super safe. Because it's about making a movie, but not about hurting people, which I totally respect. They had hired two people, this guy and this girl, to play the ghouls. And one guy would play all the male ghouls, and this girl would play all the female ghouls. And one day we're shooting stuff and things, and John was going, God, I don't know about these, is that guy, he's about your size, right? And I go, yeah. And right when I said that, he goes, yeah, good. He goes, so you can play the ghoul. So he set me up, and we, put the masks on and did prosthetics and stuff. And it was funny because I ended up doubling a lot of the stunt guys that were in there. The police officers who grabbed Roddy, and in the bank, where the guys are getting shot and everything else, and the guy at the newsstand, and in the grocery store when they're talking.
Hey, go for it, man.
The policeman that comes to arrest him is actually 6'1", I'm 5'6". So we were figuring out, okay, how are you gonna do this? I said, well, I'll get some apple boxes and put a plank across, and as he walks, then they cut to me, and then I'm standing taller on a plank walking, And one of the stunt guys, Gary Davis, who's also a great coordinator, looks at me and he starts laughing, and he goes, do you know how hard it is to take you seriously giving us directions when you look like that? It's a little known fact that I played most of the ghouls in there. I think not all of them, but quite a few, including all the way at the ending when the girl's on the bed and stuff like that.
Hey, what's wrong, baby?
And John and Sandy were going, okay, so now you get this, you're going to be a ghoul and you're going to be in bed and this girl's going to be topless on top of you. Isn't that going to be horrible? It was so
Alan Howarth I met on Escape from New York. He provided the synthesizers, the recorders, and he did the mixing.
What he was looking for in a person to work with is, one, somebody who had all the technology wired, because he never wanted to know about the technology. In fact, a couple times I tried to explain stuff to him, he goes, I don't even want to know. That's your job. Make sure it's in tune, make sure the technology's there, make sure it's wired properly, make sure when you push record, it really gets recorded.
So I walked into Alan's studio with a complete blank. I didn't know what we were going to do. The music for my movies was done. It's all improvised. So you have to understand something, that I compose and perform music after the movie's finished. I cut it together. So I take a tape of the movie and I hook it up to the synthesizers and play it from this top to bottom.
The movie would go up and John would do the first pass because he knew where he wanted this thing to go in his own mind. So he did a lot of the black and white keys. I did a lot of the red lights. But then for the next pass, go over the machines and dial up another sound, or how about this or that. And
in the opening, I took the basic tempo for Roddy's walk.
That opening scene, it's an establishing thing, the trains with the graffiti, Roddy Piper out of work, this blues score of, life ain't so good, but it's okay.
Doom, 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 doom.
Bum, bum.
I just invented this little bass part and put everything around it. I just started working it.
Everything we had done up until then was still in the world of John Carpenter, but now this was going to be a blues score.
A lot of my stuff is bass-driven and low-end and riff-driven. Someone once said, I get the maximum out of being able to play medium licks, which is very true.
Roddy Piper puts the sunglasses on, and we see the signs and all this stuff, and then there's this voice that goes, sleep. 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 Well, that was John Carpenter. I had recorded him saying sleep normally and then slowed him down. And I remember him pushing it an octave or whatever interval is, and going sleep, and I went, oh, that's it. It was great in the 80s because every movie was a new round of technology, because new technology was coming out every 6 months or a year or 2 years, and I'd add it to the toolkit and we'd get to use it and actually put it into the field. And they sounded pretty darn good. It wasn't a cheesy digital recording.
And who are you, little fella?
I thought it was a fantastic film, and I still love it, love watching that today. I'm just really grateful and honored that John's had me coordinate all his films.
It was an interesting movie to do. I liked what it had to say story-wise. A lot of people did. It was very different. The POV of life and society and everything, government and everything else you can think of.
It was always fun, and in retro, it's some of the most fun I've ever had in my life. Because one, it was fun to do, and second, it lasted. And the test of time has been applied, and it still holds up.